हरि। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदना व्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदना व्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण। So we are today discussing from the the fifth chapter of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled The Cause of All Causes. Yadrupam yadadishtanam yatasrishtam idam prabho yat samstam yat param yatcha tattatvam vadatatvatah. यद्रूपं यदधिष्ठानं यतसृष्टम् इदं प्रभो यत्संस्थां यत्परं यच्च तत्तत्त्वं वद तत्त्वतः। यद्रूपं यदधिष्ठानं यतसृष्टम् इदं प्रभो यत्संस्थं यत्परं यच्च तत्तत्त्वं वद तत्त्वतः। यद्रूपं यदधिष्ठानं यतसृष्टम् इदं प्रभो यत्संस्थं यत्परं यच्च तत्तत्त्वं वद तत्त्वतः। यद्रूपं यदधिष्ठानं यतसृष्टम् इदं प्रभो यत्संस्थं यत्परं यच्च तत्तत्त्वं वद तत्त्वतः। यद्रूपं यदधिष्ठानं यतसृष्टम् इदं प्रभो यत्संस्थां यत्परं यच्च तत्तत्त्वं वद तत्त्वतः। माताजी। यद्रूपं यदधिष्ठानं यतसृष्टम् इदं प्रभो यत्संस्थं यत्परं यच्च तत्तत्त्वं वद तत्त्वतः। What word meanings? Yat, what? Rupam, the symptoms of manifestation. Yat, what? Adhishtanam, background. Yataha, from where? Srishtam, created. Idam, this world. Prabho, O my Father. Yat, in which? Samstam, conserved. Yat, what? Param, under control. Yat, what are? Cha, and. Tat, of this. Tattvam, the symptoms. Vada, please describe. Tattvataha, factually. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? Purport. The inquiries by Narada Muni on the basis of factual cause and effect appear very reasonable. The atheists, however, put forward many self-made theories which are without any touch of cause and effect. The manifest world, as well as the spirit soul, is still unexplained by the godless atheists through the medium of experimental knowledge, although they have put forward many theories manufactured by their fertile brains. Contrary to such mental speculative theories of creation, however, Narada Muni wanted to know all the facts of creation in truth and not by theories. Transcendental knowledge regarding the soul and the super soul includes knowledge of the phenomenal world and the basis of its creation. In the phenomenal world, three things are factually observed by any intelligent man: the living beings, the manifest world, and the ultimate control over them. The intelligent man can see that neither the living entity nor the phenomenal world are creations of chance. The symmetry of creation and its regulative actions and reactions suggests the plan of an intelligent brain behind them, and by genuine inquiry, one may find out the ultimate cause with the help of one who knows them factually. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण. So we will first try to understand what is the theme that is being discussed currently based on the verse, and then we will see some points from the purport. So Parikshit Maharaj in the 4th chapter of the 2nd canto requested Srila Shukadeva Goswami to speak about creation, about primary creation and secondary creation. In response, Srila Shukadeva Goswami offered his beautiful prayers, seeking empowerment to speak on those subject matters in a fruitful way. That's how the 4th chapter ended. And towards the end, Shukadeva Goswami promised to Parikshit Maharaj that I will answer all your questions by quoting a conversation that happened between Brahmaji and Narada Muni. And Narada Muni asked very similar questions, just like you are asking, and in response, Brahmaji answered all those questions. So, coming in parampara, I am going to repeat that conversation in order to answer your questions. So, then Narada Muni asked these questions to Brahmaji. Yad rupam, yad adhishtanam, yatas srishtam idam prabho, yat samstam, yat param yatcha tat tattvam vadatatvatah. So he's asking 6 questions. Please answer these 6 questions in truth. Yad rupam. What are the characteristics of this universe? Yad adhishtanam. What is the shelter of this universe? Yataha srishtam. How this universe is created. Yat samstam, into which it merges at the time of dissolution. Yat param, on what it is ultimately dependent upon, who is the ultimate controller, even though there may be some intermediate controllers. Yat cha, constitutionally, what constitutes this universe? You know, what is this universe actually made of? The raw material. So, I will quickly describe in briefly, of course, Brahmaji describes these things in fairly good detail. I'm not going to go into the detail. We are just going to briefly touch, what Brahmaji answers to these questions, which will be discussed. The whole thing is answered in the next 2 chapters, 5th and 6th chapter. All these 6 questions will be answered. I'll briefly touch before we get into the purport. Yad Rupam, this is the first question that Narada Muni is asking Brahmaji. What are the characteristics of this universe? How would you characterize this universe? Brahmaji says, Dravyam karmacha kalascha swabhavo jiva evacha vasudevat paro brahman nacha anyo arthosti tatvatah. He says that you may see so many things in this universe, but they all can be characterized under these 5 categories. Dravyam, karma, kala, swabhava, jiva. These 5 things. Dravya are Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kam, the 5 elements and the manifestations of these 5 elements. Karma. The universe is characterized by karma also. That's how the 14 planetary systems are bifurcated. So karma plays a very important role. The living entities get appropriate bodies according to karma. Dravyam, karmacha, kalascha. Kala, time factor is very important. That's what agitates the 3 gunas and gets this whole creation into action. And so many other such functions in this universe is carried out by the agency of time. Time acts as the substratum of karma, carrying karma to each and every living entity. So the universe is characterized by kala, dravyam, karmacha, kalascha, swabhava. The nature of the living entities which they have acquired over millions of lifetimes of stay in this material world, that also is prominently visible in the manifestation of this universe. And finally, the jiva, for whom this whole universe has been created. So he says, Dravyam karmacha kalascha swabhavo jiva evacha vasudevat paro brahman nacha anyo arthosti tatvatah. He says, all these 5 factors you should understand are Vasudevad Parah. They are non-different from Vasudev. Shakti Shaktimatayor Abhedat. Because of the non-difference between the Shakti and Shaktiman. Dravya, Karma, Kala, Swabhava and Jiva. They are all energies of Krishna. Dravya is Maya Shakti. Kala is Kala Shakti. Jiva is Jiva Shakti. And Karma and Swabhava belong to the Jiva. Right? So, Nacha Anyaha Arthosti Tatvatha. Nothing exists in truth apart from Vasudev, because everything is a manifestation of Vasudev. So therefore, in the universe, if you have to broadly characterize it into you can say categories, these are the 5 categories. And they are all energies of Vasudev. So nothing else exists other than Vasudev. Ekam Brahma Dvitiya Nasti. Only Brahman exists, nothing else exists, because everything else that exists is the energy of that Brahman. So we don't accept Nirvishesha Brahman. Brahman is Savishesha, filled with all these other qualities, characteristics, energies, endowed with all that. Ekam Brahma Dvitiya Nasti. Right? Because everything that you see Dvitiya is the energy of Krishna. And when you don't see that connection, that is Maya. That is illusion. Right? So that is Yad Rupam. Yad Adhishtanam. What is the shelter of this universe? Brahmaji says, whatever you think exists in the world is worthy of taking shelter. Understand that the Lord Narayana is the shelter of that. Narayana Paraveda Deva Narayana Angajaha. Narayana Paraloka Narayana Paramakaha. Narayana Paro Yogo Narayana Param Tapaha. Narayana Param Jnanam Narayana Paragatihi. Whatever you see in this world which is worthy of taking shelter, if you think that the Vedas give ultimate shelter, understand that the Vedas are sheltered by Lord Narayana. He is the source of the Vedas. The Vedas come from his breathing. If you think that the Devatas are worthy of taking shelter, Deva Narayana Angajaha, they are bodily parts of Lord Narayana. Narayana Paraloka. If you think the planets are worthy of taking shelter, understand that not a blade of grass in any of these universes can move without the sanction and shelter of Lord Narayana. Narayana Paramakaha. All the sacrifices, if you think that your sacrifices support you, Bhoktaram Yaggatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the Yagya book. He is the controller of the sacrifice. He is the Bhokta of the sacrifice. Narayana Paro Yogo. If you think you can take shelter of Karma Jnana, Ashtanga, Bhakti Yogas, understand that ultimately he is the, all these yogas are dependent on him. Narayana Param Tapaha, Tapasya, Narayana Param Jnanam, knowledge. All these things which you think you can take shelter of, all of them are dependent on Lord Narayana. Narayana Paragati, he is the ultimate goal. There is no other shelter other than Lord Narayana. In brief, this is the answer that Brahmaji gives in response to the second question. Yad Adhishtanam, who is the shelter of this universe? Then he most elaborately describes the third question, Yatasrishtam, how this universal creation manifests. Of course, we are not going to go into the detail of that because that will be discussed in detail over the next many months in the Bhagavatam class. But he starts with this very interesting, how this whole thing gets initiated. Kalam karma swabhavam cha mayesho mayaya swaya atman yadrichaya praptam vibhubushur upadade. Vibhubushuhu, when the one Lord desired to become many, oftentimes we hear this. Eko bahusyamaha, when the one Lord desired to become many. Eko nanatvam anvichan yoga talpat samuttitaha, Bhagavatam later says. The one Lord desired to become many and he manifested the jivas, or he created the jivas, like that it is understood. So originally there was only Narayana and then all the jivas came. Like that, oftentimes you understand this. Actually, this statement is a very contextual statement. This indicates the time of creation, or prior to creation, only Lord Narayana existed because only Lord Karanodakasaya Vishnu existed because all the living entities were inside his bodily pores. Not that they were not yet created, but they had not manifested out. So, the very first teaching of Bhagavad Gita is the eternality of soul. Even before Krishna describes transmigration in Dehinosmin Yata Dehe, he talks about the eternality of the soul in the previous verse. Natvevaham jatunasham natvam neme janadipa nachayvana bhavishyamah sarve vayam atapparam. That there was never a time when I did not exist, you did not exist, nor all these kings, and there shall never be a time when any of us shall cease to exist, because the living entity is co-eternal with the Supreme Lord. So this Eko Nanatvam Anvichan or Eko Bahusyamaha describes the time of creation when the Lord Karanodakasaya Vishnu understands that it is time for creation. So if it is time for creation, then through my glance I should impregnate the Prakriti by releasing the jivas who are not created, but I am going to manifest them from outside my body through that glance. So this first verse of creation starts with the Lord glancing at Prakriti, and what constitutes that glance? Kalam, Karma, Swabhava. These are the three aspects of the glance of Kala Shakti, which is needed to agitate the three gunas to get the whole creation going. Kalat gunavyatikaraha parinamat swabhavatah karmano janma mahatah purushadishtita dabut, it is mentioned. Kala agitates the three gunas because in Prakriti the three gunas are in a very subdued, non-functional state. Kala Shakti agitates them and starts the whole creation process. Further, karma and swabhava further, which are carried by the jiva, because karma and swabhava belong to the jiva. So when he says karma and swabhava, basically what he means is the jiva. Kala Shakti and Jiva Shakti constitute the glance of Karanodakasaya Vishnu, who glances at Prakriti. And then the whole creation process starts. I am not going to go into the detail how further by that glance Pradhan or Prakriti transforms into Mahat Tattva, Mahat Tattva transforms into Ahankar, and from Ahankar manifest the various elements, mind, senses, sense devatas, intelligence, the elements, the tanmatras, all those things, and how they subsequently combine together to manifest functional universe. That is very elaborately discussed in this chapter. We will not get into this. But Brahmaji answers this third question of Narada Muni in fairly good detail. Even though a lot of it is inconceivable, but nevertheless, he does speak a lot of details about this whole creation process. Then, yad rupam yad adhishtanam yatasrishtam idam prabho yat samstam. He talks about what is the, into which does the universe merge, into whom does the universe merge at the time of dissolution. Brahmaji says later, Sa esha adyah purushah kalpe kalpe srijatyadaha atmatmani atmana atmanam sa samyachati paticha. He says, the Supreme Lord, who is Atma, Atmanam srijati, Atmana pati, Atmani samyachati. Atmanam srijati, he creates himself. Himself here refers to the universe, which is a vibhuti manifestation of the Supreme Lord. So Atmanam srijati, the Lord creates. Atmana pati, by himself he maintains it as the Purushavataras. Atmani samyachati, and he merges it into himself at the time of dissolution. So yat samstam, into whom does the universe go and rest at the time of dissolution? Lord Narayana, or here Karanodaka Sai Vishnu. Yad rupam yad adhishtanam yatasrishtam idam prabho yat samstam yat param. Even though there seems to be many controllers, Brahma is said to be a controller, Indra is said to be a controller, Lord Shiva is said to be a controller. In fact, they say Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, the Trimurtis. So, who is the ultimate controller? Brahmaji says, Srijami tan niyuktoham haro harati tadvashah Vishwam Purusha Rupena Paripati Trishakti Drik. He says, Srijami tad niyukto aham. Being instructed and ordained by him, I create. And empowered by him, I create. Haro harati tadvashah. Lord Shiva destroys this universe under his control. Vishwam Purusha Rupena Paripati. And he himself maintains this universe Purusha Rupena, in the form of his Purushavataras, Trishakti Drik, having the three energies of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Through those energies, he maintains, not directly. So again, Yat Param, who is the ultimate controller. And finally, he answers this question, Yat Cha. Yat Cha means, what is this universe constitutionally composed of? Yes, it is characterized by Dravyam, Karma, Kala, Swabhava, etc., etc. But what is it constitutionally composed of? Brahmaji describes this as, it is constitutionally composed of the Vibhutis of the Lord. What are Vibhutis? Vibhutis are perverted material manifestations of the Supreme Lord's transcendental potencies. Those are Vibhutis. Okay. So, if you see in the 6th chapter, he will describe in detail about, a very interesting description comes. So, in that it is mentioned how this universe, various elements in the universe manifest, or the universal form manifests. He says, from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu's senses, how various elements manifest, various tanmatras manifest, and from his nose, from his gross organ, from his subtle organ, just like we have Stulendriyas and Sukshmendriyas, the gross senses and subtle senses. Bhagavatam mentions Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu also to possess gross body and subtle body. But his gross body, subtle body, everything is spiritual. Just like matter has variety in the form of gross and subtle, spirit also has variety. So that is described. So, you know, how the various aspects of this universe actually manifest from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, he describes. So, which means the Lord, oftentimes we hear that the Upadana Karan or the material cause of this universe is Prakriti. But that is only in a secondary sense. In the primary sense, actually the Upadana Karan or the material cause of this universe is also Lord Narayana or Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. So, and that is very graphically described by Brahmaji in this second canto, 6th chapter. And also, if you see how this, there is a description of Brahmaji. He himself shares his own story of Yadasya Nabhyan Nalinad Aham Asam Mahatmanah Navidam Yajna Sambharan Purusha Avayavan Rite. One day Brahmaji wakes up from his sleep and he understands that my duty is to manifest this universe. But he says, but I could not find any ingredients for manifesting the universe. Purusha Avayavan Rite. Except for the bodily limbs of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, I could not see anything to manifest this universe. So what did Brahmaji do? Teshu yajnasya pashavaha sa vanaspatayaha kushaha idam cha devayajanam kalaha cha urugunanvitaha and so on. He says, whatever is needed for performing the sacrifice to manifest the universe, I collected all the ingredients of that sacrifice from the bodily limbs of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. He collected it directly. Okay. And then he performed the sacrifice. Right. And this is described in Purusha Sukta also. Yat Purushena Havisha Deva Yajnam Atanvata. Yat Purushena Havisha. By using the Purusha as the Havish, oblations, Deva Yajnam Atanvata. Lord Brahmaji performed the sacrifice. So, actually, how does this happen? Because the ingredients in this material world are matter. The Lord's form is spiritual. How can you take matter? So, in Jaiva Dharma, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes this. He says that the Swarup Shakti has three qualities: Samvit, Sandhini and Hladini. You all know this. So the Samvit Shakti is the knowledge potency. The Sandhini Shakti is the, that which manifests the various paraphernalia, places, etc. for performing the Leela of the Lord. And the Hladini Shakti is the one that allows the Jiva and the Supreme Lord to experience the bliss of their connection with each other. He says, but this Swarup Shakti, which has these three qualities of Samvit, Sandhini and Hladini, manifests in three forms, which is Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti. And then he says, these qualities of Swarup Shakti are fully manifest in Chit Shakti, partially manifest in the Jiva Shakti, and they are manifested as a perverted reflection in Maya Shakti. How? He says, in Chit Shakti, the Samvit potency introduces the Jiva to Krishna and Krishna to Jiva. How are you related to Krishna? What is your rasa? What is your service? That introduction is made by the Samvit Shakti. And the bliss of that relationship that the Jiva shares with Krishna, that is created by Hladini Shakti. And the kind of services that he does, the place, his own spiritual body, the paraphernalia that is needed for service, everything is manifested by Sandhini Shakti. This is full manifestation. Partial manifestation of these three qualities in the Jiva manifests in the form of Samvit manifests as Brahmagyan, knowledge of Brahman realization. And Sandhini manifests as one's own spiritual existence, as the Jiva. And Hladini manifests as Brahma Sukha, the bliss that the Jiva experiences by merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. So when this Samvit, Sandhini and Hladini manifests in Maya, in the realm of Maya, Samvit manifests as material knowledge, Jada Vidya, the knowledge of material things, how things function in this world. Sandhini manifests as the material universe. 14 planetary systems is manifestation of Sandhini, perverted reflection. And Hladini manifests as Jada Sukha, the experience of material sense gratification, perverted reflection of the original Swarup Shakti Sandhini, Hladini. So therefore, when he says that the Lord is he collected all the ingredients from the bodily limbs of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. When he collects it and manifests in the material world, it becomes the perverted reflection. Just like if one sees one's own reflection in a severely convex mirror or a severely concave mirror, you will see your reflection. First thing, it is reflection, it is not the original. And second thing, it will be heavily distorted. You can't really see, a lean person may look really fat like that. So that kind of perverted reflection in this material world is called as vibhutis. But the source of the vibhuti, just like the source of the perverted reflection on the convex mirror is the original person standing in front of the mirror, similarly, the source of these vibhutis in this material world is originally the Supreme Lord only. Okay. And the Lord has all these elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, in the spiritual world. Spiritual form. All of that is conscious. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, speech, fire, etc. and all their expansions in the spiritual world are eternal and full of consciousness, since they are part of the spiritual pastimes. Whereas in the material world, its material counterpart is actually jada and unconscious. Okay. So in Bhagavad Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami mentions even the names of these elements in the spiritual world. Ether, the spiritual ether is called as Parameshti, which facilitates Shabda in the spiritual world. The spiritual air is called as Puman, which facilitates experience of spiritual touch. Spiritual fire is called as Vishwa, which facilitates the manifestation of spiritual forms. Spiritual water is called as Nivritti, which facilitates the experience of spiritual taste. And the spiritual earth is called as Sarva, which facilitates the experience of spiritual fragrance. But when pervertedly reflected, it becomes the vibhutis, all this Parameshti, Puman, Vishwa, Nivritti and Sarva, they are all spiritual in nature, conscious in nature. But its perverted reflections, the vibhutis, are material in nature. So, in this way he answers these 6 questions. Yatcha, constitutionally, what constitutes this universe? He says actually the limbs of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu in its vibhuti form. That's what constitutes this universe. In essence, in the next 2 chapters, this is the essence that Brahmaji presents in answer to the 6 questions asked by Narada Muni. So now, let us move on to some points which Srila Prabhupada mentions from the purport. We will try to touch upon those points. Srila Prabhupada writes, the inquiries by Narada Muni on the basis of factual cause and effect appear very reasonable. The atheists, however, put forward many self-made theories without any touch of cause and effect. They explain what happens, why happens, what is the source, They may give their own speculative explanations for that. They are theories. They put forward theories. But it is not it's not conclusive truth. No one claims, no true scientist actually ever claims that this is conclusive truth. At the most, they say that, based on the available evidence and our, this is what we are compelled to believe right now. That's what they can say. Like my professor, he was very well renowned in his area of research. He was twice nominated for Nobel Prize. Very well known in his field, and he took a course for us, the history of science. So in that, he was mentioning how various theories came, they were proposed, and subsequent research was done to support it, and then how they survived over a period of time. Then the next theory came, and how it kind of surpassed the other theory. And then he was being very honest. He said that in reality, a good scientist is a good researcher is, you can say, he is defined by the shelf life of his theory that he proposes. So he says, he has, my own professor has put forth, theories. He says that if my theory is not offset in the next 25 years, then I would consider myself a very extraordinary scientist. So which means he says that in 25 years, there will be more things which would be found out, and eventually this theory will be offset and a better theory will replace it. I know that, I'm okay with it. But if it does not happen within the next 25 years, then I will consider myself a very successful scientist. Like that. So if it is 35, 40 years, then he is, you're good enough to get a Nobel Prize, even though it may be, overthrown, thrown out after a few years or decades. So these are theories. And the word speculate is actually a taboo word in our circles, but it is actually used in the research circles left, right, center. So we speculate that this is what is happening. So this is not something that's not considered to be a black mark, because no true scientist will outright claim that this is exactly what is happening. They know that, we are compelled to believe that this is what is happening. That's how much they can go. A true honest scientist. So Prabhupada is telling the atheists, however, put forward many self-made theories without any touch of cause and effect. Contrary to such mental speculative theories of creation, Narada Muni wanted to know all the facts of creation in truth and not by theories. So interestingly, if you see, Krishna in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when he talks about divine and demoniac qualities, initially he talks in terms of actually who is a demon, who is a divine personality. He talks in terms of qualities. Abhayam, Sattva Samshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi, Dhanam, Damascha Yajnascha, Swadhyayastapa Arjavam. All this fearlessness, purity of consciousness, no pride, no arrogance, and everything. So this is Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim Abhijatasya Bharata. Oh, these are the divine qualities, O Arjuna. And what are demoniac qualities? Dambo, Darpo, Abhimanascha, Krodha, Parushyameva, Ajnanam Japichadasya, Partha Sampadam Asurim. What is Asuri Sampad? He says false pretense, pride, arrogance, anger, cruelty, etc. Like that. So this is one level of describing divine and demoniac. Arjuna gets a doubt. Looks like I am demoniac then, because oftentimes I become angry. I am sometimes proud of my power. So maybe I should be demoniac. Then Krishna says, no. Daivi sampad vimokshaya nibandhaya asuri mata mashucha sampadam daivim abhijatosi pandava. Arjuna, don't worry, you are born with divine qualities. Arjuna says, how come? Then how come I catch myself with all these kinds of demoniac qualities sometimes? And how are you calling me divine? So, therefore, Krishna goes one level deeper to describe. Actually, it is not really the qualities which characterize. Qualities come later. There is something even more foundational which actually defines or differentiates a demon and a demoniac person and a divine person. What is that? That is worldview or value system, which inspires actions. Actions impelled by particular worldviews. So, subsequently, when Krishna starts speaking at a different level of worldview, he says, Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha janana vidur asuraha. Nashaucham napi chacharo nasatyam teshu vidyate. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha na viduhu asuraha. The asuras do not know the shastric injunctions of what is to be done, what is not to be done, what is right, what is wrong. They do not know. And they say, asatyam apratishtam te jagad ahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kimanyat kama haitukam. They say, the world is false. There is no foundation, apratishtam, anishwaram, there is no creator. Aparaspara sambhutam, it has come up with no apparent cause. Kimanyat, what else can be said? Nothing can be mentioned about the causality of this universe. There is no cause. This is their worldview. And Krishna says, more defining than the qualities is actually the worldview that defines demons and divine person. And then so on, he says that etam drishtim avashtabhya nashtatmano alpa buddhayaha prabhavantyugra karmanaha kshayaya jagato ahitaha. Endowed with this kind of demoniac worldview, they engage in all kinds of violent actions because there is no creator. They don't accept Ishavasyam idam sarvam. So therefore, it gives them the license to act in all kinds of ways which are demoniac. So, and so on. So it is the world view that actually defines. So someone, the sadhakas or the devotees may sometimes possess the divine world view, but still because anartha nivritti is not accomplished, they may show qualities like damba, darpa, abhimana, krodha, parushyam, etc. So it's not a very reliable symptom of demoniac personality. Who is a demoniac personality? Damba, darpa, abhimana. Little bit misleading. It's not a reliable quality. The reliable quality is actually worldview. But there is something even more foundational than that, than even worldview. What is that? What is the basis of that worldview? Pramana. It is ultimately the pramana that defines divine and demoniac. So towards the end of that chapter, Krishna says, Yash shastra vidhi mutsrijya vartate kamakaratah nasa siddhim avapnoti nasukam na paramgatim. O Arjuna, one who outright rejects the conclusions and the injunctions of the Shastras and acts according to his whims and fancies, he shall not attain any kind of success because that is demoniac. Tasmad shastram pramanam te karya akarya vyavastitau gyatva shastra vidanoktam karma kartumiha arhasi. Therefore, you should understand, tasmad, therefore, shastram pramanam te. Shastras are the pramanas for karya akarya, what is to be done, what is not to be done. Gyatva shastra vidanoktam karma kartumiha arhasi. Therefore, you should understand the shastra vidhi, and according to them, you should know what is to be done, what is not to be done. So the ultimately defining characteristic of divine and demoniac is their acceptance or non-acceptance of Shastras. That is why atheists are those who do not accept the Shastric injunctions. Right? So, that's why Krishna says, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna. Artho jigyasur jnani cha bhartarshava. So who surrenders to me? Oftentimes we say, Artho artarti jigyasu jnani. No. They are all over the world. They may not necessarily surrender to Krishna. But sukritinaha, if they have that sukriti, kriti means intelligence. Sukriti means properly guided intelligence. Properly guided means what? That intelligence which is guided by the Shastras. Such people surrender to Krishna. Sukritinaha bhajante mam. Dushkritinaha namam prapadyante. Okay. So, dushkritinaha means what? Dushkriti. Kriti means intelligence. Dushkriti means misled intelligence. Intelligence which is not properly guided by the Shastras. There are 4 categories of such people. Mooda, Naradama, Mayaya Apahrita Jnana and Asuram Bhavamashrita. Moodas are those who have no idea about Shastras. They are just interested in sense gratification. Okay, so their intelligence is not guided by Shastras. Naradamas are those are at the lowest. Why? Because they somehow, by mercy, they took up to bhakti, but because of offenses or some bad experiences, they give up that bhakti and start living a material life. They are called as Naradamas. They had the worldview, they accepted the worldview by accepting the Shastras, but eventually gave it up because of offenses. Third, Mayaya Apahrita Jnana. Those whose knowledge of the Shastras is corrupt due to crookedness. It is stolen. So they quote from the Shastras. These are the most dangerous people because they quote from the Shastras, but they actually misquote and misinterpret. Such people. So they also they are dushkritinaha because their intelligence is not properly guided by the Shastras. And Asuram Bhavamashrita, those who take the mood of the Asuras who want to destroy Krishna, kill Krishna, like that. So how do we, because practically most of the people fall within this category. Either they reject or they don't accept. Though the accepting people are microscopic minority. So how do we deal with them? Okay, I will end with that small discussion. So as devotees who accept the worldview of the Shastras, who accept the superiority of Krishna, the controllership of Krishna, how do we deal with them? Ishvare tadadineshu balisheshu dvishastucha prema maitri kripa upeksha yakkaroti samadhyama. So a sadhaka is expected to show these 4 kinds of dealings with these 4 kinds of people. I don't have time, I will not go into detail. Ishvare prema. Prema here refers to bhakti. So what is Ishvare prema? Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulyana krishnanushilanam. Worshipping Krishna without any ulterior motives, without taking shelter of karma jnana yoga, by taking proper shelter of the process of bhakti. That is Ishvare prema. How to deal with ko-sadhakas? Tad adineshu maitri. Okay. Of course, there is a lot to discuss on this, but that is not the point of discussion. So, he says, what is maitri? I will just briefly touch that. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Jaiva Dharma, he says, maitri means association, discussion and service. This is how sadhakas are supposed to interact with each other. Not merely cohabiting with each other, but having meaningful interactions and meaningful relationships. Sajatiya ashaye snigde sadhu sangasvato vare. Like that, and like-minded, affectionate, advanced association, and in that association there should be ample dadati pratigrinnati guhyamakyati prichati bhungte bojayate cheva shadvidam priti lakshanam. where there is preeti and genuine concern for each other, and come together and discuss Krishna Katha. And there is mutual service. That is actually Maitri. Of course, there are other aspects I will not touch. Balisheshu Kripa. Balishas are the ignorant people who do not have proper guidance, but at the same time, they are not completely misguided also. They don't have a strong counter opinion. Like, they are not influenced by Mayavad and other such false theories and have become convinced of it. So therefore, such people are ignorant and innocent people. So such people, so thus their saving grace is that they have no antipathy towards bhakti or bhaktas. So such people are called as innocent, Balisha. So what does it mean to bestow kripa upon them, mercy? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the Madhyama Vaishnava must deal graciously with the Balisha as he would do with an honored guest. Because that's the way they develop appreciation, and they will get some Agyat Sukriti. And gradually they can come towards bhakti. Okay. To show real mercy to the Balisha, he must ensure that the Balisha develops faith in pure devotional service. As we were discussing the other day, give knowledge where there is faith, facilitate development of faith where there is none, and give knowledge only in proportion to faith. That is actually preaching. So identify, spend time with the Balisha, understand what is his position, and facilitate accordingly. If he has faith, give knowledge. If he is struggling with faith, facilitate the development of faith. And in doing that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, an ailing person cannot treat himself. He needs a doctor. Just as the angry and frustrated outbursts of a sick patient are excusable, the misdemeanors of the Balisha are also to be forgiven. He may have some misdemeanors, he should be forgiven. That is the act of mercy. Okay, so basically he administers, kripa means administering association, compassion, and spiritual instructions. Like that. And finally, Dvishatsu Upeksha. I will quickly end with this. Dveshi. How do we deal with Dveshis who have actual envy towards us? Whether they may be Mayavadis or those belonging to the other religions, whatever it may be. So, he gives categories of Dveshis. So, he says, what is Upeksha? Dvishatsu Upeksha. It's not Dvishatsu Dvesha. It's not that you hate those who hate you. You stay away from them or avoid their company. He explains what is Upeksha. Upeksha means, it means neither that one should put a stop to all the usual human exchanges, nor that one should refuse help to such bewildered persons. So it does not mean you stop the human exchanges with them. It's not that when they are struggling, you don't help them. On the contrary, if an envious person is in danger or in distress, everything should be done to ameliorate his agony. Which means the Vaishnavas should go forward and help them out. Why? Because as Vaishnavas, we don't want the Dveshi to remain a Dveshi. We want the Dveshi to eventually become a devotee. But if we retaliate Dvesha with Dvesha, it will only increase his Dvesha and increase his offenses. And we will become a cause of his offending further. And it will affect our devotional service. So as Vaishnavas, we want everyone to take up to devotional service. So therefore, we do not stop the human exchanges, the social exchanges. A Grihastha Vaishnava has to interact with so many different persons in the course of his daily life. Okay. Course of family matters, business, etc. So therefore, one should not stop the social interactions with them at one shot. That is not the meaning of Upeksha. Upeksha means to not have spiritual exchanges with them. because they are already self-opinionated. If you present your spiritual opinion, they will counter it with their own spiritual opinion, and it will only increase their dvesha further. So upeksha means don't engage in spiritual conversations with them, but don't stop the social exchanges, because by that you are breaking the bridge by which they can at some time give up their dvesha and become devotees. So like that. Anyways, few thoughts I will end here. Thank you all very much for your patient listening. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.